Hey guys, this is Josh here with Trillium Wild Edibles, and today I want to show you how to make an extremely delicious garlic mustard dip. This dip is really good. It can be used as a condiment for sandwiches or wraps. You can also use it as a dressing inside of salads as well. I've also baked it on top of chicken, and it's really good that way as well. So there's a lot of things you can do with it, and it's extremely versatile. One thing that's really important is that you've properly identified garlic mustard before you pull it up and consume it. After you have properly identified it, go ahead and pull it up by its root. Make sure you pull up the entire plant if possible. Try to remove as much as the root if you can, because it's an extremely noxious and invasive weed, and it's also known for killing off native plants and most other plants around it. So make sure you do remove as much of it as you possibly can. After you've pulled up the garlic mustard by its root, go ahead and get yourself a bowl of cold water, and then take your garlic mustard plants, after you've removed the root from them, and dip them in this cold water, in the bowl of cold water. Just let them sit there for a few minutes. Let them sit there for approximately 10 to 15 minutes. And after you get your garlic mustard plants in here and let them sit for 10 to 15 minutes, a lot of the dirt's going to be loosened up and removed from them. And if you remove the roots and kept them rather clean while harvesting, there's not going to be a lot of dirt anyway. However, what this is going to do is it's going to crisp up these leaves a little bit if they wilted any after you harvested them. Depending on where you harvested them. These I harvested in my yard, so they didn't really wilt too bad. But other than that, we are good to go. We're just going to let this sit for 10 to 15 minutes. Check this little guy out. This is something that you're going to find sometimes on plants whenever you bring them into your house. Make sure you keep an eye out for any bugs or any stragglers that are coming inside. This little guy, instead of killing him, I'm just going to pick him up. Put them inside this lid like that, and then drop them outside. Alright, then once you've soaked your garlic mustard plants and you have removed all the debris from them, the next thing you want to do is you want to go ahead and dry them. There are a couple of ways that you can do this. What I like to do is I like to take them outside and give them a shake, especially if it's a really nice day out. If it's raining, I obviously won't do that. You can shake them over your sink, or you could also take them and dry them on some paper towels. So it's your choice, whichever you feel like doing. Alright, so once you've dried off your garlic mustard plants, the next thing you want to do is you want to go ahead and get yourself a cutting board and a knife, and then you want to pick off any of the bad looking leaves. And then after you picked off all of the bad, nasty, or damaged leaves, the next thing you want to do is you want to pick off all of the good leaves. All the good leaves are what we're after, and you can use the leaves of any size. You can even use leaves this big, especially if they look delicious and they're prime and juicy like this one is. They're going to be really fine. They're going to be great to eat. Also, another thing worth noting is that these really tender young tops are the very best part of the plant, at least in my opinion. They have the most taste, and usually these taste the strongest of garlic. Usually the further down you go on the garlic mustard plant, in my opinion, I usually notice a lot more bitterness. So usually the very basal leaves of the rosette I usually don't eat. I usually pick most of those off unless they look really good. Then I'll go ahead and save them, of course. But other than that, I'll generally remove all the base leaves of the plant, and then I usually pick everything else off to eat. Alright, after you remove the good garlic mustard leaves, something you might want to think about as well is the stems. I left this little stem on here so you guys could see. That much of a stem is okay to leave. You're not going to notice that by the time you chop these up. And here on these little buds, you may be able to see how much stem I left here. And again, this isn't going to be noticed by the time this all gets chopped up. These are really tender, and they're not stemmy or woody. They're not tough in texture or anything. Alright, so after you've got your garlic mustard leaves all processed, next thing you want to do is just go ahead and take your knife, cut them up. Make sure you cut them up really fine. It's going to take just a couple strokes. And if you want, you can actually use a food processor for this, or a blender, depending on how much leaves you actually have. I use a knife because I find it works just fine for me. But you may be different, you may prefer something else. But essentially for this dip, the thing to remember is the finer the leaves are, the better. However, it's not going to hurt anybody or anything to leave a couple big chunks of leaf in there. It helps, in my opinion, to actually add some texture and some consistency to the dip or the spread, depending on whatever you're using it on, whether it's like a sandwich or a salad or a wrap or whatever. Alright, so the next thing you want to do is get yourself a bowl, get yourself some mayonnaise out, which is what we're going to be using for this. And then what you want to do is you want to go ahead and add yourself several tablespoons of mayonnaise. You can use any mayonnaise that you want. There's no preference on this. Use any mayonnaise you got. And after you've done that, the next thing to do is to make sure you add some garlic. Now you may be wondering, why add garlic to garlic mustard? Garlic's in the name, right? It should taste like garlic. Well, it doesn't really have a terribly strong garlic taste, and if you are wanting a strong garlic taste, you are going to want to add some garlic, trust me. I also find it helps to add just a dash of salt. I find the salt helps to pick up the garlic flavor. But go ahead and add yourself a little bit of pepper. Go ahead and add yourself a dash of celery seed. Add a little bit of dill, a little bit of paprika, and then go ahead and mix this up. Alright, now you guys may be able to see the small amount of dip here. The reason for that is because I'm making this not really for chip dip, I'm actually making this as a condiment for sandwiches and wraps. So there's kind of a small amount. However, there was enough garlic mustard leaves to make enough salad dressing for a large salad for several people. Whether you used oil and vinegar or whether you just added more mayonnaise, you would certainly get enough salad dressing to make a salad for several people. So that's just something I wanted to mention while I was showing you guys the amount that I've got here and what I'm going to be doing with it. Alright, so once you've got your garlic mustard dip or spread or salad dressing all made up, you're ready to use it as is, or you can jar it and put it in the fridge. It'll stay good for up to a week. Like I said earlier, this is a spread, so I'm actually going to be using this on a wrap, which you can see I've got some of the ingredients laid out here. Here you can see I have some chickweed tops and some violet flowers, and this is going to be the greens for this wrap. And you can see back here I have some lunch meat, I have some sandwich style pepperoni, and I have some Cajun style smoked turkey breast along with some smoked Gouda cheese here. Then of course I've got my garlic mustard spread. And here you can see the finished product, a beautiful looking wrap filled with lunch meat, cheese, garlic mustard spread, chickweed tops, and violet flowers. This is one of the greatest ways to use wild edibles. Use them in conjunction with whatever it is you're normally eating. There's no reason to go out and spend the time doing all that hiking, all that walking, just to pick a few leaves and only eat the leaves, unless that's just what you're into. I myself, I like, something that's more substantial, and this is a lot more substantial than just munching on a few garlic mustard leaves and a few chickweed tops with a couple violet flowers. So this is a really good way to use wild edibles, and this is an extremely delicious way to use garlic mustard, as well as, chickweed tops and violet flowers. Chickweed tops are very mild. You can use them basically as a substitute for lettuce. The violet flowers, I chose those mainly because I think they're beautiful. I like eating them, and they have a really, really good flavor. Alright, now what is making something without enjoying it, right? There, that'll give you guys a view of what it looks like on the inside. You can see it's tightly wrapped. Everything's concealed up in there nice and well. You can see the violet flowers, the chickweed tops, and the garlic mustard spread all mixed in there together. You can see the cheese and the meat. Mmm. That is absolutely delicious. Mmm. Those violet flowers add a really nice bit of sweetness. Mmm. Mm-hmm. And those chickweed tops, I swear this time of year, if you didn't know they were chickweed tops, you'd think it was some kind of baby lettuce or something. They're so good. So I thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you learned something. I hope you guys try out this recipe, and I really hope you enjoy it as well. If you want to learn more about edible or medicinal plants, make sure to subscribe.